much, Reverend David, and thank you everyone for taking time from your busy schedules to be here this afternoon. I'm going to get right to the point. If it weren't for farmers, I'd be dead in 2 weeks. Really? If we had to go back to, you had to forage for your own food, oh, no way I could survive. Maybe a week at the most. I doubt if I could last 2 weeks. Farmers feed the world. Where would we be without the farmers who raise fruits, vegetables, livestock, chickens, cows, pigs that sustain our lives? So today I want to reflect on the lives of farmers and, even more importantly, the lives of all those sentient beings that sustain our lives. So Reverend Matsumoto talked about my background in terms of studies, but really I grew up on a farm in Eastern Oregon. This is, you realize that you don't take pictures of your everyday things. I had to really hunt around for some pictures of the farm. This is part of our farm. It's our onion shed, and we had various crops that we raised. Onions was the main money crop. Potatoes, sugar beets, we had corn, we had grain, we had even cattle, Japanese cowboy. I used to herd the cattle on my little Honda motorcycle sometimes. So we had a diversified farm. The idea is you raise different crops because you don't know what crop is going to be a good price that year. So this is part of our farm, our onion shed. This is my dad, where he's loading the crates of onions in the wintertime. So we harvest in the fall, and then we sell some of the onions at harvest time. You try to get some of your money back. And then you put the rest of the onions in your storage shed, and when hopefully the prices go up, then you sell them. So it's in the wintertime, and my dad's loading up the truck with the bins of onions that were in our storage. I'm pretty sure that if I lost my job as a minister, I think I can get a job as a forklift driver. Because I know how to do that. This is our potato harvest. So there's a potato harvester, and it's picking up the potatoes. It goes into this back area. There's workers there picking out the dirt clods, and potatoes go into that truck, and then the truck takes it to the potato cellar. So you've heard of the famous Idaho potatoes, but a lot of the famous Idaho potatoes come from Eastern Oregon. This is my mom and two of our workers hoeing sugar beets. Now they have herbicides that farmers don't have to go out and weed like they used to. But in those days, you had to go up row after row, up and down, and chop the weeds. And my mom hoed the sugar beets. We had a field that was 1/4 mile long. And one day my mom thought, gee, I wonder how far I walk in one day. I'm going to keep track of how many times I go up and down the field in the one day from 7 o'clock in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the evening. She would work till 5, rush home, fix dinner, and have dinner ready on the table by 6 o'clock. Calculated how far she walked. It was something like 18 or 19 miles. And this is not just one day, this is every day during hoeing season. Every day she's walking 18 or 19 miles. You don't have to join a gym if you're a farmer's wife, right? You're getting more than enough exercise. And in the hot weather, sometimes over 100 degrees, up and down, up and down. This is the best time of the day on the farm, coffee break time. Our farm, no matter how busy we were, even in the middle of harvest, at 10 o'clock in the morning and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we always stopped for a break, maybe 10, 15-minute coffee break. My mom would make homemade goodies, and we'd have coffee and refreshments, or if it's a hot summer, we'd just have a Pepsi. To this day, every morning at 10 o'clock, something instinctual in me, I go, oh, I need a little snack now. It's 10 o'clock. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think it's break time. So this was the fun, and then, you talk with the workers. So it was very enjoyable. This is one of our tractors. Now, we didn't have these kind of tractors when I was growing up. This is nice, air-conditioned cab, radio. When I was growing up, we just had the older tractors. At most, I had an umbrella. Later, we finally got a radio, and I could put headphones on and, drive tractor all day long. People used to say, especially when I would drive up here for the CBE Central Cal lectures, they'd say, gee, Sensei, isn't that a long ways, 5 hours or so? And I used to say, well, I just think back of when I grew up on the farm. On the farm, you're driving tractor 10 or 12 hours a day. You're in the same field. The scenery doesn't change. And it's hot, and you just got an umbrella. You're going up and down, up and down. So 12 hours on the tractor in the same field versus a 5-hour drive in your car. It's air conditioned. You got the stereo going. A 5-hour drive is nothing compared to going up on the farm. But these tractors are so nice nowadays. So I'd like to start going into the lives that sustain our lives. This is a Hereford steer. Hereford is the breed of cattle, and we had Hereford cattle. We only had about 100 head of cattle. We had some land that it wasn't really very good for farming, so we just had it in pasture, and we had a creek that ran through our land, so it was good just to have pasture there. So we did have about 100 head of cattle, and so we raised them for beef. On our farm, in the summertime, the entire meal was home raised. The beef, the vegetables, the potatoes, the eggs, every part of that meal was all homegrown. An average American, believe it or not, consumes 9.8 steers. That was a steer we just saw. A steer is a male beef cattle that as a calf, it is, what's the nice word, monasticized, neutered, castrated is what happens. The calf, the beef calf, and we did this on our farm, the young calves, they're castrated, no painkiller or anything, they're castrated, and they're branded. They're branded with hot branding iron on their hide in case they get lost, and then they can be identified that this is a Harada Farms cattle. And they are slaughtered for our ribeye steak or whatever, hamburger, around 18 months of age. That's all they live, 18 months. And we consume, an average American consumes about 9.8 steers in a lifetime. One steer is about 1,000 pounds. Out of that 1,000 pounds after it's slaughtered, 600-something pounds of actual the carcass, and then out of that you get 400 and something pounds of actual beef. So we would raise these steers, and then since we ate our own beef, the steer would get loaded up in the truck, taken out. We didn't slaughter ourselves. We took it to a slaughterhouse. It was away in the truck, and a day or two later, it would come back all nicely wrapped. Roast beef, hamburger, steaks, all these packages of beef that we put into our freezer. And our families shared it. My uncle's family, our workers would get some of the beef. So that steer sustained our lives. Pigs. We had a few pigs, not really to sell, but we had pigs just for our own consumption. An average American consumes 28 pigs. Now, you might look at the pig and feel sorry for the pig, and they're cute, but I don't feel sorry enough to give up bacon? Tonkatsu? You want me to give up tonkatsu to save the pig? Oh. on and on and on, you know. And pigs can be slaughtered for meat around anywhere from 4 to 12 months of age. It's, you know, just half a year or at the most a year is all they're able to live. Chickens. 2,002 chickens in their lifetime. And maybe even more if you eat less beef and you eat more chicken, right? We used to raise chickens on our farm for eggs, and then of course we would, when their hens got older, then they would be, you know, butchered as well for frying. And it was my job as a kid to collect the eggs from the chicken hatch. And chickens are usually slaughtered around 6 months of age. Going back to well, let me go on. This is a dairy cow. You know, driving up here, there's a lot of really large dairy farms in the Central Cal area. I don't know how many cows they must have on one farm. This is a Holstein dairy cow and the calf. To get milk, I don't know if you're aware of this, to get milk, when the calf is born, is taken away from the mother. The calf is separated from the mother cow so that we can get the milk from the cow, see? So the calf, if it's a female calf, then they get raised because they can become another milk-producing cow. But if it's a male calf, it might get slaughtered for veal as a calf. As a calf. You like veal cutlets, breaded veal, or veal, what's that, veal parmesan? I used to love those dishes until I found out cheese. That's calf. Veal is a calf that's slaughtered at just a few months of age because the meat is very young and tender, see? So the female calves get to become cows, but the cow is separated from the calf at birth and then milked every morning and evening. You know, you ladies, children, imagine being separated from your child and then to a breast pump every morning, and, you know? And then, what's worse than that, your milk doesn't even go to a child. See, in this case, the milk doesn't go to another calf. Or ice cream. That's where milk comes from, right? Going back to the picture of the cow. One of my best friends in high school, dairy farm. Dairy farmers, it's one of the hardest jobs. My high school buddy, he played sports like I did. Every morning at 5:30, he had to wake up and milk the cow. Before high school, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, the school bus, go to high school all day, played sports, football practice or wrestling practice or whatever, home from high school sports practice around 6 o'clock, goes right to the barn, milks the cows for another 2.5 hours, 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, then has dinner, and then goes to bed. Every day, day after day. In 4 years of high school, never once took a book home from school. He said he couldn't. There was no time to study anyway, even if he wanted to. He'd go home, milk the cows, and that's it. Hard life. Dairy farmers hardly ever take vacation. They can't take a vacation. They got to milk the cows every morning and evening. Turkeys. Well, turkeys are so popular now because they're healthier. An average American consumes 66 turkeys in their lifetime. Tuna. I didn't know this about tuna, but while an average American consumes 3,700, this is fish with fins in their lifetime. There's some interesting facts I learned about tuna. Oh, what happened? Oh, here it is. So a female tuna fish can hatch up to 30 million eggs, but only about 2 will survive to adulthood. Some 30 million eggs and only 2 survive. The Atlantic bluefin tuna can live to be 35 to 50 years old if it doesn't get caught sooner by us for sashimi. Tuna fish are known to be nomadic, often traveling the world's oceans a few times. Imagine they swim all around the world, crossing the ocean several times in their lifespan. In 2013, a 487-pound tuna sold for $1.76 million at the Tsukiji Fish Market auction. So an amazing animal, the fish, right? But, oh, I love sashimi. Am I going to give up sashimi for the tuna to save the tuna? Oh, no way. Spicy tuna roll, toro. Oh, toro. I never had toro until I went to Japan and had it at a sushi bar. We just had, maguro. My friend says, have you ever had toro? No, what's toro? Oh, it's the best part of the sashimi. Oh, it is so good. It is so good. Shrimp. Average American consumes 10,000 shellfish in their life. 10,000 shell. You might think that's kind of an exaggerated number, but think about a shrimp cocktail. There's like 6 or 7 shrimp right there in one shrimp cocktail. Last night I had shrimp tempura. I had shrimp tempura and salmon. So maybe there's some people here who are vegetarians or vegans, and that is really noble if you are a vegetarian or a vegan because you want to spare the lives of animals and chickens and fish. But I don't think you're not taking life. We're still taking life, aren't we? Even if we're eating fruits and vegetables. A head of lettuce. The head of lettuce was perfectly happy growing in the field, and someone takes a samurai knife and takes the head of that lettuce off for our salad. An average American consumes about 2,340 pounds of, that's a ton of lettuce. A ton of lettuce in our lifetime for salad. We're taking the lives of lettuce, aren't we? Carrots. Carrots too, perfectly happy growing in the ground, living its life, gets jerked out of the ground so that it can be, part of our stew or soup. And we consume about 10,800 carrots in a lifetime. So then you might think, okay, I'm not going to eat any living things. Like I'm not going to eat any pigs or beef or chicken. I'm not going to take any life of any plants, any vegetables like lettuce or carrots. I'm just going to eat grains. I'm going to eat grains. Are we still taking life by eating grains? If you eat a grain of rice, that grain of rice never got to be a plant of rice, right? It's like eating an egg, a chicken egg, a sunflower seed. A sunflower seed is waiting to become a sunflower, to fulfill its life as a sunflower. And when we eat the sunflower seed, it never gets to be a sunflower. So how can we not be taking life even when we eat a sunflower seed or a grain? It's all life. It's all life that sustains our life. I'd like to go now to Shinran Shonin's words. He has this expression, when I first read it, studied it, it sounds so kind of negative. Zai go jinju. Zai go jinju. And so these are the characters. Zai literally is like sin. Go is karma, or karma. Jin is deep, very deep. And ju means heavy. So sinful karmic, deep and heavy sinful karma. But I would translate it something like human beings are burdened with the weight of karmic ego-centeredness. Karmic ego-centeredness, meaning our life is always more important than the other beings. And we carry that weight of that karma with us. Because no matter how much I feel sorry for the Hereford steer or the chicken or the pig, I'm going to value my life more than that being's, even to the end of my life. I could be on my deathbed. And I could still take life. Well, let's say I'm on death row. On death row, I'm waiting to be executed, and then they say, okay, this is your wish for your last meal. This is your last meal. Oh, gee, I have a choice. It would either be ribeye steak and rice or sushi. One of those two choices, But think of that from the cow's perspective. Okay, let's say the beef steer, okay, cow number 35, your number's up. Time for you to go to the slaughterhouse. And then the steer goes, well, if I'm going to have to give up my life, I'd like to know who I give to. Is it President of the United States? Is it maybe someone who's going to fight cancer? If I someone pretty worthy and they're going to do something with their life, at least someone that's going to find a cancer or something like that. No. His last meal, steak. You gotta give. What? I gotta give for this guy on death row. That's how it is, isn't it? But it doesn't have to be death row. I could be. And still, my last day of my life, I'm taking life. To me, this is how I. We're all Zaigo Jinju. This is from one of his poems, Shinran Shonin's poems from the Shozo Matsuwa-san. The power of the vow is without limit. Thus, even our karmic evil, deep and heavy, this is his Zaigo Jinju, is not oppressive. The Buddha's wisdom is without bounds. Thus, even those of distracted minds and self-indulgence are not abandoned. Maybe later some other ministers and people who have thoughts on this wasan can share their interpretation of it. But I think that Shinran Shonin is saying that the light of the Dharma is what shows us that we are this Zaigo Jinju. And even though we have this deep weight of heavy karma, there is this life of true freedom in another sense. Well, let me go on. This is an unpublished poem by a Japanese poet by the name of Enomoto Eiichi. Our BEC, we're working on another book to publish. It's going to be a translation of a lay person. His name is Hideo Yonezawa. And Hideo Yonezawa, in his book, quotes these various writers and poets. This is one poem I'm really fond of. Rather than question whether I am of benefit to the world or not, I begin to understand in the morning breeze how I am given infinitely from the world. So Enomoto Eiichi, I think, has a sense of all of this life is sustaining me infinitely. This is another poem by another well-known layperson, Kimura Muso. On the shelf of my kitchen sit onions and radishes and carrots, lined up, waiting their turn backstage, all for a foolish being like me. They're all waiting their turn to give their life for this foolish being, like me. This is a poem, this is not a Shin Buddhist poem, but this is a poem that was given to me by a good friend of mine, Greg Creech, who does the Nikon therapy in Vermont. And he gave me this poem by a Chinese poet. Life isn't fair. No, it isn't fair at all. Thank goodness, For in a fair world, my fate would be frightful. But in an unfair world, I am supported by the kindness of this and the service of that. Life isn't fair, it's true, it's true. So how many times in our life have we said something like, "Man, that's not fair. I didn't get that job, or I didn't get what was rightly deserved of me." And we've said this before when misfortune comes our way. But think about it. If life was fair, last night I said I had shrimp tempura, I had salmon. I had salmon for lunch too. I had salmon twice within 24 hours. If life is fair, the salmon gave its life for me. Shouldn't I return something of my life to the salmon? But no, I just take, I receive, day after day after day after day. So life isn't fair. It's true. It's true. And so, oops. You hear we ministers talk a lot about the Okage-sama. And so Okage-sama to me means to live this life of gratitude for all that enables us to sustain our life. The myriad numbers of plants, animals, fish that all nurture and sustain our life. We couldn't live a week without the sustenance that we receive. And the farmers raise the fruits and vegetables, the livestock, the chickens that sustain our life. So the farmers have one of the most worthy jobs in the world. You're feeding the world. Farmers are feeding the world. How much more important of a job can there be than that? More important than President of the United States, in my mind. You're feeding the world. So what a noble life and occupation, farming is in agriculture to feed the world. So you might want to ask, well, how come I didn't become a farmer then? How come I'm a minister? Well, growing up, I didn't like to get up early on the farm. One day I asked our sensei, Sensei, what time do you get up in the morning? Oh, 9, sometimes 10. Hey, maybe that's a pretty good occupation. I knew I wasn't cut out to be a farmer. But it was wonderful growing up on the farm, learning work ethic. Maybe if I share a few memories, I showed the Hereford steer. When we had cattle, sometimes there would be a case where a cow was giving birth but is having a hard time. It's like a breech birth. Sometimes the cow comes out backward, up, down, just like happens with humans as well. I remember one night, middle of the night, cow was having a difficult birth. Our worker, my dad and I'm only about maybe 11, 12 years old at the most. We're out there, middle of the night, and we're trying to help this cow deliver this calf. Pull this little calf out. We had to put a rope around its hooves, and we're just, 3 of us, we're just pulling as hard as we can. We got the calf out, and it's almost like you see this miracle of life, I remember, being moved to tears, and this calf, within minutes, stands up and starts to drink milk from the mother cow. And they're so cute. Calves are so cute, running around and playing in the pasture. So I might help to deliver a calf one night, and the next day have to take the tractor and the backhoe and bury a dead cow, a cow that's died. So life and death on the farm, kind of every day. You have a sense of life and death. You have a sense of all that sustains your life. One of the most memorable funerals I ever attended in my life was for our farm dog, our first dog on the farm. Stray dog, just came onto the farm, but you know how dogs on the farm become a part of the family. We had this dog, we named him Shorty because he was a little short dog. And when Shorty died, the whole farm stopped, the whole farm. We went out to the orchard area, our workers dug a grave, and we all stood around, and we had a little funeral for Shorty. So, life and death, oneness of life, Okage-sama, the lives sustain our lives. Any questions? This first part of Buddhism and agriculture? Or maybe some of you have memories of growing up on the farm? Yeah, Ron? Reverend Ron?
Growing up on the farm, was that your motivation to go to college?
It was kind of expected, you know. Well, of course, Japanese families too, you know, they expect you to go away to college. A lot of my other high school classmates, they just went right into farming, you know. And others too went to college, majored in agriculture, came back and took over their farms that way. Okay, well then I think we're right on time.